Hey guys, DJ Neeks here. I I wasn't anticipating that I was gonna make this, but over the past few days of me playing this, I kind of started to feel compelled to make this, partly because I don't think anyone is aware of this or has even brought it up. Um, but if you can't tell, we are back in XCOM 2 because of the new expansion that came out, War of the Chosen. Now, I do want to point something out here, though. This is a bit where I'm kind of giving you guys an update on a couple of things. One, whether or not I'm doing a playthrough of this, and two, the current condition of it. Because for those of you who may not be able to tell, I am playing this on the PlayStation 4. I may have it on PC, but I can't play it on PC. My machine is just not good enough to meet the requirements for it. So I've played it on PS4. Heck, you guys that have been here before, you know I've done a playthrough of the base game on PS4. And it was, it had its issues at times, but it was still in good condition. It was, a tad bit buggy and glitchy. There was a vid I made with a hilarious glitch in it. So it's been glitchy, ever since it came out. But it was in a pretty decent condition. Well, the expansion came out 2 weeks after it originally came out for PC, and I don't know if it came out for Xbox One when it came out for PC, or maybe they waited 2 weeks to release it for consoles in general. But the point is, they waited 2 weeks to release it for PS4 before they released it for PC. So it was already out for 2 weeks on PC. People gave feedback and such. And from what I've heard from people who played on PC, it's in fine condition. Well, it finally came out for PS4 this week. And so for the past few days, that's what I've been playing, seeing how it is. And I will say, there's plenty of good things about the expansion. I love what they have done with this game with the expansion. But here's the problem. It is a joke of a port in its current condition. It is... Oh my gosh. I have gone through so much frustration with this. Since it came out, the game has crashed on me at least 5 times. I've experienced numerous graphical bugs and glitches, things like soldiers' body parts missing, their faces disconfigured on the covert action screen, the map completely glitching out with the textures, like pieces of the land missing and showing like water running underneath it because there's a river nearby. I've had the frame rate drop to like 10 frames a second or less at times and completely freezing up the screen. The graphics like dropping like really bad, like at times to below 720p. It's been really bad. The PS4 port is so poorly optimized. It is a chore to try and play through this. Which is a shame because what is here is fantastic, and I want you guys to know, if you're wondering about if I'm gonna do a playthrough, I will do a playthrough of this, but there's no way that I can record this in its current state. It is such a horrible optimized port right now. There is no way that I can make a quality recording of this expansion right now. But I do want to let you guys know that what is here is great. I'm pretty far into this. Oh, it does show them. Oh, that's great. If you can see here on the wall. Oh, and by the way, they have a photo, I guess a Instagram feature now where you can actually have your squad take pictures after each successful mission for propaganda, which is pretty great. What they've been able to incorporate here with the War of the Chosen expansion is pretty awesome. They've added different buildings and such. They've added a lot to this expansion. They've added other buildings such as the Resistance Ring. So one of the things they added was 3 new factions that you can recruit to help you. The Reapers, the Templars, and the Skirmishers. Just to give you guys an idea, let me show you each of them as they are now. So here's one of the Reapers. They are basically stealth emphasis snipers, but they don't have a pistol, so all they have is a sniper rifle. But they can be pretty strong. That's their own unique sniper rifle that she's got. They have different now ability trees here, things that can emphasize stealth. These things called claymore mines, but I hardly ever use those. Things that help out with their marksmanship, like armor piercing and such. So they're pretty handy, but really, are they better than the sharpshooters, or do they replace the sharpshooters? No, not at all, because they only have their sniper rifle, whereas I have discovered that the sharpshooter with their pistol can be pretty handy against a new kind of enemy called the Lost, considering that the pistols have unlimited ammo. They've also added this other thing called bonds. You can actually have your soldiers bond pretty well, where they can become bond mates, and they can be able to give each other different perks, like being able to grant their bond mate an extra action during a mission, which can be very helpful with certain types of units. But the other two, the Reapers are probably my least favorite of the three, because the other two are just amazing. The Skirmisher, he is a monster, just a beast. He has all these kinds of abilities that can let him be able to just keep on going with extra actions, being able to use a grapple to pull someone to him. Yes, he is pretty much using Scorpion's "Get over here" from Mortal Kombat. It's an incredible ability. The kind of abilities that this guy can have are just insane. They are just awesome. The same thing with the Templars. These guys are just able to just charge in, just tear them apart with their side blades, and then be able to activate an ability called Parry, where they can be able to prevent all damage from whatever the next attack is, which against really strong enemies is incredible. Just insane. So what they've done with the factions is great. But they've also added like the thing that they advertised very heavily, which is the Chosen. And if you can see in the middle of my wall there, I have, in this first run, I've taken care of all 3 of the Chosen. And it was pretty awesome. Part of me wanted to take them out, but part of me didn't, because they're such interesting characters, and they add a bunch because they're constantly taunting you throughout the match, and you just love to hate them and hate to love them, because they're just constantly on your comms talking to you. They can show up on missions, and if you're doing a mission in their territory, they can show up and try to stop you, or rather just try to either extract knowledge from one of your soldiers or capture them so they can try and get the Avenger, because their mission is to take out, or rather recapture, the commander and bring him back to the Elders. It's pretty awesome. And just if you're wondering, you do get some awesome loot when you take them out. But I'm actually going to hold off on showing you guys that, as much as cool as it is, for when I eventually do the playthrough. They've also added the Infirmary, which was around before, but now they've added some other things, such as being able to remove negative mental traits from your soldiers if something happens to them. But here's another great thing. They've added something called the Training Center. Now, this is able to help enhance soldier bonds, but my favorite thing is that they have added this thing, train abilities. So you know how the previous ability tree for the soldiers was you kind of had to choose one or the other as you went further down along with ranks? Well, let me show you my guy. You know how you had to choose between combat hacker or battle medic? You had to, if you wanted to go for a soldier that could do just the healing, you had to pick all these on like the left side, and you had to completely ignore, and you had to make another specialist that would do that if you wanted that. Well, now the Training Center can let you be able to acquire every ability on both sides if you have enough of what are called ability points. You can see at the top, you see XCOM AP, Soldier AP. You get ability points by doing things such as hitting an enemy from a flanked position or from an elevated ground, an ambush kill. It grants you ability points when you do that, based on your combat intelligence. So the more of those kinds of things you do, the more ability points you get, and the more of these. So now I can just have my specialist be able to have all the medic abilities and all the hacking abilities, which is insane. It makes them so incredibly powerful. This was one of my favorite things that they added here, because now it just makes, you can make your soldiers just some of the more overpowered things. Like you can make your sharpshooter have all the sniping and gunslinger abilities, which is insane. It's insanely powerful. So they, it's more power creep. They made the enemies stronger and tougher, especially with the Chosen, but they made it where you could make your soldiers even more powerful than before. You don't have to split between the two talent trees anymore. You can actually have them have every ability if you have enough ability points. So that was one of my favorite things that they added here. They've improved the research where you can actually be able to, even late game where there was like nothing to research, like stuff will constantly pop up. Like, hey, you can be able to research this to improve your weapon or improve your armor. Different things just keep popping up. So they have tremendously improved this game in many different aspects. If they could just have this version, this PS4 version, be optimized. So I want you guys to know, as I would have to get into a mission to hopefully show you guys something. Let's go to the map so I can kind of give you guys an idea. Also, maybe let you guys know about something. I did just complete the Black Site mission. I'm not necessarily spoiling anything since I've already done a playthrough of this. So you guys can check that out, the previous version of XCOM before they released War of the Chosen. Yeah. So the way it was, you can see there's different HQs here. So you no longer have your own solo HQ. You have an HQ with each faction. The Reaper HQ, you go there. If you scan there, you gain intel. The Skirmisher one lets you build your stuff faster. That's pretty good for early on. And the Templar one can let you heal your units faster. So they each have their own different perks. So you used to have to choose which perk you wanted, and I would usually always choose Gain Intel. Now you can just choose one or the other depending on what it is that you need. When the Chosen were around, you would usually see like the assassin icon was right here, showing that the assassin was controlling this territory. Oh, there's a UFO flying around. But what's funny is that they've changed the mission types. I have yet to have a mission where I infiltrate a landed UFO. I think they took those out of the game, possibly. But they've also added other dark events here to make it more interesting. By the way, you'll also notice the Avatar Project timer looks different. That's because they added many more advanced options, some of which I've heard were mods on the PC version, like doubling the timer for your Avatar project or doubling the timer in missions, which is great because at times I felt like the Avatar project would fill up way too fast. Well, now you can add that to be able to make the game longer for yourself, especially if you want to keep going with longer campaigns against the Chosen, which one of the great things about the Chosen is that it is heavily influenced by the Nemesis system from Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor. And like they will have their own strengths and weaknesses, and the longer it goes on, the more strengths they get. Like the Warlock and the Hunter had up to 5 strengths by the time I took them on. And what's cool is that the more strengths they get, as they're getting stronger, their armor also changes to kind of reflect that they've gotten stronger, which is pretty cool. Plus, there's a dark event where they can no longer suffer from their weaknesses. And there's also an advanced option. If you want to make this game harder, there are other advanced options to do that, such as making dark events permanent. So you can have a huge list of active dark events. Like, once these go active, like, they'll be permanent if you want that option. So they've given you options to make the game easier. They've given you more options to make the game harder. They've done a lot of great stuff. If only it was optimized well. I've had to deal with, oh my gosh, guys, the graphical bugs and glitches throughout this game is just horrible. I've left a post on the 2K forums hoping that someone at 2K or Firaxis will notice that. I've also seen some other replies on that post. Someone said that every time they try to play this on their PlayStation 4 Pro, it crashes on them. That's indefensible. That's inexcusable. The fact that they delayed the release of this PlayStation port an extra 2 weeks after it came out for PC, and it's come out in this condition, it's a joke. It's a complete joke that they release it like this when they even delayed its release. If you release it early and rush it out, that's one thing. But when you delay its release and then it still comes out like this, I don't know what's going on over there at 2K and Firaxis, but they have to patch this up as soon as possible. Because this is ridiculous that it's in this bad of a condition. um, right now, and its first week release when its release was delayed. So, from what I've been able to play, when it's working well, it's great. But my gosh, is it in a horrible condition? So, I kind of felt like I just wanted to get this out there, get this on my chest to let people know, anyone know that the PS4 port of this is horrible, because I've let some people know and they're like, really? Like no one's apparently talking about this or letting anyone know about it. And I'm really hoping the devs take notice of this and get it patched up right away. And once it's patched up and in good condition, you can definitely expect me to do a playthrough of this game again with War of the Chosen, because it feels like a whole nother game. They've taken the expansion and they have wrapped everything up into one package, including the DLC. You remember those DLC missions we went on in the previous version of the game, going into the facility for Shen's last gift to get the spark and taking on the AI Julian? That's gone. They've just taken that away, and they've just made it where at a certain point in the game you can be able to research sparks in order to be able to make them. Same thing with the other DLC. These facilities that you can be able to go to, for a period of time, it was saying at the bottom of the operation, it would say a very strong and powerful alien unit is guarding this facility. It was referring to those king and queen ruler units that we would encounter, and that's where you would encounter them in this new version of the game. So they've kind of taken everything and just wrapped it up into one package, and it makes it feel like a different game, which is great. I love that they have been able to try and make it where it feels like a whole new game now, to add to the replayability. Because I'm telling you, The Chosen itself is an aspect to make you want to replay this game again, because their strengths and weaknesses will change every time you play the game. I had it where the assassin was shell-shocked. One of the weaknesses was that she took extra damage from grenades, while the warlock had a strength where he was immune to explosions. But then I've looked at people playing the game elsewhere, like on YouTube and such, and their assassins didn't have that weakness. They had a weakness like Bewildered, where they would take more damage if they've been attacked at least 3 times in a single turn. So their strengths and weaknesses can be different all the time, which adds even more replayability to this game. So I can see myself playing through this game multiple times, but my goodness, does it need to be patched. It is in such a bad condition. I've heard it was in this kind of bad condition when it first came out, like a year and a half ago on the PC, like January 2016, it was in horrible condition then. Well, that's the kind of condition it's pretty much in now on PS4. It's really bad. So, this has to get taken care of. This has to get patched up. And once it's in a good enough condition, then I can definitely get to work on doing a playthrough of this to show you guys all the cool stuff that they have added into this, and the whole aspect of the War with the Chosen, and all the different things that they've added here. But unfortunately, yeah, there's just no way I can do that now, not in its current condition. So, they've added things here. You can see sit rep, psionic storm, energy signature at the missions suggests high levels of psionic enemies present. There was also, it would show which Chosen was controlling the territory. I already mentioned that. They would just drop in and be like, hi, I'm here to mess with you. So, now that it's pretty much just the main story now, I'm probably going to just try and see if I can finish this up. And then hopefully wait for them to eventually patch. They have to patch this. I would be so disappointed in Firaxis if no one bothers to patch this. But it's in such a bad condition that I just felt there was no way I could record this for you guys. Once it's patched, you can definitely see it. But I'm just going to be waiting to see whether or not they actually do take the time to take care of every version of their game. You cannot neglect your PS4 customer base. You can't do that. So until then, hopefully whenever it gets patched, I will see you guys for a full playthrough of XCOM 2 War of the Chosen. I'll see you guys then.